Hey guys, Twisty10000 here, coming at you with a new tutorial on how to get models from Garry's mod into VrChat. I'm going to be using this model, the Flash, Ezra Miller, player model and NPC. I'll probably just use the player model. Alright, let's get started with the things you'll need. The first thing you're going to need is Blender, so go ahead and download that. And I'll follow along with the downloads, just so we don't miss anything. Go ahead and save that. I recommend making a folder on your desktop to keep all of the stuff you're about to download in one spot. I've already got Blender installed, but like I said, for the sake of this tutorial, I'll go ahead and install it with you. Make sure that we get everything right. So do that first. Then find Source Tools. By the way, all links in description. And you need to install this. From right there. And I'll go ahead and give this link. You hit this download button. Save it in your tutorial folder, or the folder that you create for this tutorial. The next tool we'll need is CrowBar. So let me go ahead and explain some stuff real quick. Source Tools allows us to import what's called an SMD. CrowBar converts a MDL file, which is what Garry's mod uses, into an SMD. So we will click here, and I'll have this link in the description. It will be Google Drive, so click up here. And there you go. It says it as a 7-zip. That's fine. The next tool you will need is NIMS tool, better known as VtfEdit. VtfEdit allows you to extract from Garry's mod and export them as PNG files or TGAs or anything that's much more openable and Blender can use too. These last three things are the things we're going to need to actually bring in to VrChat. We'll download those later. We'll worry about that later, just to keep it a little bit more simple. Now that we have everything downloaded, go ahead and install Blender. And you will run through all of these next. You'll just run through the installment. Pretty easy. Hit next, 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 accept any of the terms and conditions. Blender itself is a very clean program. There's not anything hidden inside of it. All nice and clean. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up CrowBar. So if you have 7-zip or WinRAR, but if you have WinRAR, right-click and extract to CrowBar. If you have 7-zip, I think you just have to open it. Yeah, this is 7-zip. And bring this out into the tutorial folder or make a new folder for CrowBar. CrowBar is done. That's easy. It's pretty easy program. Run VtfEdit. Now I already have VtfEdit installed. I'm not going to take the time to go ahead and install that. There we go. Blender is done. And VtfEdit's kind of freaking out, but that's fine. It's already good. Blender Source Tools is something we'll actually do in Blender. Now that you have everything installed, go to Steam, find what you want to bring into VrChat. Subscribe to it in the workshop for Garry's mod. Start Garry's mod, so that Garry's mod may download the add-on. You'll see it popped up at the bottom for just a second. It was pretty quick download. It's one single model. It goes by pretty fast. After it's done, quit Garry's mod, open up a new file explorer, and go to your Garry's mod installation directory. For most people, that's program files. It might be x86, 64-bit, or 32-bit. Go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Garry's mod. In Garry's mod, while you're here at the main root directory for Garry's mod, right-click bin, hit Open New Window. Go to Garry's mod, add-ons, and now we need to find our Flash. I'm just going to go to the top right here and type Flash, and there he is. On the right, in our bin file, we need to scroll down and find gmad.exe. I don't know if this has always been a thing. I think it's more recent, where they allowed you to basically extract add-ons out of the workshop and dump a folder into your add-ons file. Pretty nice. So you can customize stuff yourself. So if you missed that, all I did was drag in the GMA file, or the Flash, into gmad.exe. Clear out your search results so we can go back to our add-ons folder, and there he is. He's now dumped into his materials, models, and his Lua scripting, but we won't need the Lua scripting. Close that. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it dump, even though we're already in a dump of dumping things, so we're going to dump that. Go back. Open up the CrowBar folder by doing the exact same thing, right-clicking, open new window. You don't have to do all this drag and dropping. I like to do drag and dropping. I find it much faster. So let me go back and show you what I did. I go into the dump, Flash directory. We're going into model, because CrowBar opens models and converts them for us. Here we are. Luckily for us, this only has one model. It only has Barry Allen, the Flash, inside of it, making it much easier. Some add-ons you will have to search and search until you find the right thing you want. It can be absolutely insane. Drag and drop the model that you'd like into crowbar.exe. Hit run. At the top, where it says output 2, you're going to hit browse. And we're going to go to our dump folder, just where we're dumping everything. Tutorial, dump, and hit open. And now it will dump everything that we're about to convert into here. Hit decompile. And that's done. Now let me open up VtfEdit by hitting start. There it is, VtfEdit.exe. Open up VtfEdit. It'll take just a moment. Now, in the file for where the Flash is stored, we're going to go in, go to Materials, Models, Crypto, the exact same directory almost, except for the fact that it is now has materials in it instead of models. Drag in any VTF and start looking at them. This is very obviously the Flash. It can be somewhat terrifying looking at these textures sometimes. When you're VtfEdit, hit Control E. This is just a simple shortcut to export. That's another project I'm doing. And go to your dump. Export this as a PNG. You don't have to do a PNG, but I find that most things like PNGs much better than any other complicated file type. So I'm just going to go ahead and check. I'm going to make sure that this is the only thing I need. I checked this. This is just a little bit darker. Let's see what this is. Something else. That's a normal matte. You'll never need those. And that looks like maybe a dark flash. You know, I'm just going to export this one just to be safe. It might need it at some point. And we're done with all the easy stuff. In the dump, now we've got textures. Here's all of our stuff we need right here. You can delete anything that's animations, anims. We won't need those. Your next step is to open up Blender. Click out of the opening dialog and delete the brick by hitting delete and then hitting enter. Actually, just go ahead and hit A and then hit delete. It'll delete everything out of the scene, making it less complicated. Once you're in Blender, hit File, User Preferences, and at the bottom it says Install Add-on from File. Direct yourself to where your dump file is, and click the Blender Source Tools zip, and hit Install Add-on from File. Give it just a moment. And it's done once this little dialog up here has cleared out. In the search bar, type source if it doesn't already bring this up. Sometimes it does. And just click the box on Blender Source Tools. Hit Save User Settings, and close it. Go to File, Import, and Source Engine, SMD. Open it up. Go to where you dumped all of your stuff. I'm going to assume that reference is my actual model, because it's the most biggest thing in regards to size. You might have to explore that. Just import a couple things, see what's what, but this has the most signs of being the model. Go ahead and hit Import. Once he's brought in, he's going to be absolutely massive. So hit S, and move your cursor towards the center. This is a simple scale. Don't worry about getting him into scale for VrChat, because that's something we'll actually do in Unity when the time comes. But here he is. He's in Blender now. Now he does not look correct, however. Go down here to the ball and hit Texture. Nothing should pop up now. It'll just be white. That's fine. Actually, right-click on your model and hit Tab. Now you'll see a bunch of vertices pop up, a bunch of lines. He'll look like a wireframe. On your top right hierarchy, hit plus on your main model and go to the main object in the actual hierarchy. This won't be the same for all models. Just letting you know that now. It could be very different for all of you, depending on what you're trying to do. That's fine. You're welcome to ask questions in the comments down below. I'll try my best to answer. So once you've hit your main item in the hierarchy, and you're in tab mode, or edit mode, in 3D space, go over here to the right, hit the black and orange ball. Click the first texture that pops up. For my model, it's the only texture that pops up. Here at the top right, click these lines and drag out. At the bottom, click here, go to UV Image Editor. In UV Image Editor, go to Image, Open Image, Dump. First, read the material that you have. FL_JL_D. Go to Image, Open Image, and open that exact texture that we dumped. Well, it does not look like we have that one. That's fine, though. I didn't export that one. I won't, because these should work just fine. After it's brought in, you'll see the texture on the right. Go back to 3D Space and hit A. Now all vertices are selected. Go back to the bottom right, click this little picture, and re-click your texture. And voila, he should be textured. Go back to 3D Space and hit Tab. And yep, you'll see, sure enough, he's ready to go. Oddly enough, usually you'll see all your wireframe stuff over here in the wrapping. But for right now, I don't. That's fine. It's looking pretty good. The nice thing about importing models from Garry's mod is that they're already rigged. Most of them already have had some kind of rigging done to them, especially if it's a player model, because they have to be used. As you can see, I can move everything just fine, so we won't worry about any kind of bones, and we won't have to worry about going to a website like Maximo and getting bones put in. This model is pretty much ready to go at this point. I picked a pretty easy one for this tutorial, and it worked out pretty nice. After your model's ready, and you've double-checked everything, all your textures are good and stuff like that, and everything looks alright, go to the top left, hit File, Export, Export, FBX. And as per usual, we're just going to dump it into the dump folder. Export FBX. One of the things that you need to look out for in Blender before you take it into Unity are the vertices and faces. Mostly the faces and the vertices are the only things you really got to pay attention to up there. If your faces or vertices are too high, VrChat will not accept the model. The way you can fix that is going over to the hierarchy, clicking your main model, clicking this little wrench, hit Add Modifier, and go down to Decimate. This ratio, the slower you drag it down, the more destroyed he becomes in regards to his vertices and faces. He looks like something from a PlayStation 2 game, kind of. Here we go, PlayStation 2 Flash. Fortunately for us, most Garry's mod models have already been pretty well optimized in that regard. Every model that I've imported so far from Garry's mod into VrChat has done just fine without me having to add any modifier like that. But just in case your model is a little bit more heavier on the vertices and faces, make sure to give that a try. After you've done that, go to File, hit Export, and FBX. Export it to your dump folder. I already did it once. I'm going to do it again. This is absolutely important, this next part. Go ahead and hit Control-S, and make sure you save your blend file. I can't tell you how many times I didn't at the beginning, and then needed to go back and decimate or fix some bones, and I had to re-import the model, and it's just sloppy. It starts to get crazy. But we're done in Blender for now. So go ahead and close. So just to go back over what we did, downloaded Blender, downloaded Source Tools, downloaded CrowBar, downloaded VtfEdit, and we used all 4 of those things. The last 3 steps can be some of the hardest, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. The first thing you'll need to do is download Unity. You can go down here to the left and try Personal. And just accept all the terms and stuff like that. When Unity opens for the first time, it will ask you to fill out a bunch of information. I can't really help you out there. It's just personal information, and it will be like a personal key. After you've done that, and you can get Unity to open, go ahead and go to vrchat.net, hit download, and download the SDK for Windows. You will need an account for this. After you've downloaded that, go to this website, go down here to clone or download, and download zip. After you've downloaded everything, go ahead and start up Unity. In Unity, create a new project. We'll call this Flash. And Documents is just fine. Go ahead and hit Create Project. Once you're in Unity, right-click in the File Explorer, hit Create Folder. We'll call this Flash. One of the first things you'll always want to do when opening up a new Unity project for VrChat is to import the SDK. It takes just a hot minute. Go ahead and drag and drop the SDK into the Assets folder and hit Import. And now we wait. After it's done, go back to your folder. Right-click the Shader Unity Master Pack we downloaded and extract it to a new folder. Go into the Master folder, Assets, and drag in Cube's Unity shaders into the Assets folder of Unity. This goes by pretty fast. It does not take long at all. Alright, after those things are imported, go into your Flash folder. Go back to your Dump folder, and bring in untitled.fbx that we got from Blender, unless you titled it. And a texture, whichever one you used for the actual model. By holding down Control and clicking on anything in Windows, you can select multiple things and drag them in. So drag whichever texture you used. In Unity, drag the texture into the Materials folder that gets generated when bringing in an FBX. Go into your Materials, and you'll see a ball. You'll probably end up seeing more balls than I have if you get any other model that's more complex than mine. One of the things I always do is hold down Control and click all the balls. Unfortunately, I've only got one ball. But hold down Control, select all the balls. At the top right, get rid of the tint by clicking in the color picker, and go to white. Just in case. I've had a couple of textures turn out kind of strange because they were tinted. After you're done with that, go to the inspector on the right after clicking a single ball, and click Obledo. Double-click the texture that you would like to use. And you're done. Now it should be textured. Click on your avatar inside the Flash folder. Go to the top right where it says Rig. Hit Humanoid, and then hit Create from this model. Hit Config. Hit Save. And name it something. I'll name mine Flash. Oh. Hit Apply. This builds a skeleton inside Unity based off the skeleton that was already there from Garry's mod. As you can see, we have all the crazy bones that we had inside Blender. A good rule of thumb for VrChat models is to always remove upper chest. It's already removed for me because it doesn't have an upper chest. But if it did, you'd go over here to the right and click this little dot. Scroll to the very top of the list and double-click None. He now does not have an upper chest. One of the more important things I always do is click over here again, and always click Spine 4. Because VrChat, the SDK requires that the left shoulder, right shoulder, and neck are bound to the chest bone, which is technically Spine 4. All that to say, upper chest, your upper chest bone, usually swap it with your chest bone and actually set upper chest to none. Go into the head section over here at the left. Make sure you've got a head. The neck isn't as important. It will be important in VrChat if you want to look around. Make sure you've got a head and a neck. It's pretty important for looking around in VrChat. Don't worry about eyes or jaws or anything right now. Go back to body, hit apply, and hit done. Now bring your model into your scene. Go to the top right on the inspector. Under transform, hit 0, 0, and 0 on the XYZ coordinates by hitting 0, tab, 0, tab, 0. Once he's brought in, you can right-click to move the camera around and hit WASD like in a video game to move around and get closer and look at him. By this time, you should notice that our character looks kind of flat in comparison to all the other avatars inside VrChat. Go into Materials folder, click the ball, and click Shader. Go Cube Paradox, Flatlit Toon. He should look a lot more like a cartoon at this point, which will look pretty good in VrChat. If you have multiple balls, just hold down Control and click all your balls. Go to the top right shader and do the exact same thing. This will apply it en masse instead of having to do it one at a time. Now that our character's brought in, we're going to work on size, because he's massive right now. You can't tell, but he is. In order to get something to compare it to, go to the assets folder. Go to VrChat SDK, Examples, Samples As, Tutorial Avatar, and bring in this blue guy into your scene. Go ahead and zero him out. As you can see, that's pretty massive. The blue guy is what's considered pretty default for an avatar. He's about as tall as Unity-chan, or pretty regular size. Imagine him almost as like a maybe 5'10", 5'8", somewhere along those lines. Click your character, in my case the Flash, go to Scale, and drag and click the Y and drag to the left. It'll bring him down, and he will look pretty funny. You'll probably get a good laugh out of it. But since we're scaling on the Y-axis, and we want to try and adjust the height, you don't want to do X or Z, just do the Y-axis. For me personally, I'd put Barry Allen at maybe about there. Get your Y coordinate and copy it into X and Z. He should now become proportionate. This does not affect the quality of your model, just the scaling. That's what he'll look like against most characters in the game. Kind of like that. Click the blue guy, hit delete, get him out of your scene. The next step, we're getting pretty close. Click your character, in my case the Flash, hit add component, type VRC, and go to avatar descriptor. Click avatar descriptor, and set the default animation set as male. Here's where you'll want to move your camera kind of to the side. On view position, this affects this little ball, and that's where your camera will come out inside VrChat. If you don't set this correctly, the ball could be down on your chest or up in your brain, and you'll see your character, and it just won't feel right. If you're using VR, this would really break the immersion. So first, change the Y-coordinates. My Y-coordinates is actually pretty much perfect. I might go up just a notch. Let's go here. There we go. In the Z-coordinates, type 0.1. I usually do, in this case, I guess I'll do 11. I might actually move it back down. There we go. And that's about where you want it, just kind of in front of the model. You don't want it inside the eyes. It won't work that well. Now it's time to actually start getting ready to put our character into game. Go to VrChat SDK at the top, and go to Settings. When the Settings thing pops up, you should be able to sign into your account. I'm already signed, wow. When the VrChat Settings window pops up, you won't be logged in like I will, so go ahead and log in with your information. Do yourself a favor and uncheck future-proof publishing. I don't really know what it means. I assume it's actually probably a good thing, but it speeds your process up a lot more of getting it into game if you uncheck that. After you're done with that and you've signed in, go to Show Build Control Panel. But before you do that, say a quick prayer to anything you believe in, because this is where anything could go wrong. Absolutely anything. It could be anything from high vertice count, like we talked about. The bones could be messed up. It could be any number of things. This is good. It looks bad, but this is good. All these yellow indicators mean I can go ahead and still publish it. But let's go ahead and go over them. The polygon 17070, the avatar will not perform well on many systems. It's asking us to lower the polygon count if you want everybody to see you a little bit faster. Not that big of a deal. The thumb, the index, and middle finger bones are not mapped. Full body IK will be disabled. Unfortunately, that means that VR won't work, but mouse and keyboard will work. That's all I care about. If you wanted to fix that, you'd have to go back and map all the fingers by going back to the configuration and reselecting all the fingers. Lower arm is not first child of upper arm, or hand is not first child of lower arm. You may have a problem with forearm rotations. That's got to be the first time I've ever seen that error. And we'll ignore it. You'll pretty much always get this one. And I don't really know what it means. It has to do with full body tracking and VrChat. I'm going to see what happens if I go ahead and import. So make sure that your avatar is checked right up here at the top left. And go ahead and click Build and Publish. After a second, everything will go gray. It's not crashing. Don't worry about it. You'll see a game window pop up. Go ahead and move this down. Just make it smaller. Type a name. Make sure you don't, if you re-import a model, you don't give it the same name. You gotta be able to figure out what your new version is. Accept the terms at the bottom and hit upload. This right here is where future proofing would usually happen, and it would take about an extra 2 minutes. It's not too bad, but it's enough to be annoying. After it's done, wait for the program to respond. Make sure you don't go click crazy. Just takes a moment. Go ahead and close down the window. Hit Control S and make sure to save. One thing I wish I had known a little bit earlier is if you go to VrChat SDK and manage upload content, you can actually see all your models right here and delete them, allowing you to get more of like a precise menu if you keep uploading new instances. But there's our Flash. Go ahead and close Unity and start up VR. Once you're in VrChat, come over here to the back left of the map, I believe, and the hub. Turn around this left corner and there'll be a mirror where you can check out your model. Or just go to any mirror world you'd like. Hit escape. Go to avatar. Click Flash. Give it a second. See if everything looks good. He looks alright. Hit change. And wow, yeah, he looks pretty well done. Well, yeah, could be a little bit better, but not bad at all. That's pretty good for a little rush work for a tutorial, but yeah, just check them out, make sure everything works. One of the things you can do to definitely test is just pop a backflip. So yeah, as you see, his head stayed stationary. That has to do with the weighting problem with the bones. We'll have to work on that later. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I'll try to get to you. I'm out.